Before we dive into today's edition of the Bulls Report, first off, I want to say thank you. I showed this graphic on the show last week, and we picked up over 150 subscribers, and I don't want to stop now. We are still in this battle with the Heat Report and Celtics today in our subscriber battle. Heat Report still has around 2,000 more than us. Obviously, the Celtics today is a wagon, normally are around 30,000 subs. So if you guys want to help me out, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay on top of the latest around your Chicago Bulls. What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman. First off, on today's show, an NBA insider says the Bulls must trade Zach LaVine at the NBA trade deadline. Hey, I've been saying that for about the past 2 months, but we'll dive into that on today's show. And then later on today's show, could the Bulls be targeting Malcolm Brogdon, an interesting name at the NBA trade deadline? Another NBA insider did suggest so. So that's what's coming up on today's edition of the Bulls Report. But let's dive into what Bleacher Report said, and this is actually Zach Buckley, the NBA insider, that said this quote. He said this around Zach LaVine. He said Chicago should be burning up the phone lines in search of a reasonable landing spot. LaVine's contract is the biggest financial burden on this organization, and his offensive-only play isn't worth the enormous pay rate. The Bulls' next step, whether that's a forward move with this core or a backward one until the next nucleus is ready, should start with a LaVine swap. And I just want to clap it up for Zach Buckley. Great point he just made. That's something I've been saying on the channel for a while. This contract right here, honestly, heading into the season, I didn't think it was that bad. Because if you viewed LaVine as a second or third option on a championship team, next to a true number one like a Jokic or a Giannis, which I did think before the season LaVine could be, his contract didn't look that bad. But with this recent play and just overall how he's handled himself this season, this is a awful contract. That's why I am starting to get in that camp where it's like maybe moving LaVine at the deadline may almost be impossible for the Chicago Bulls. I mean, is anybody going to want to pay that man $49 million? $49 million in the years 2026, 2027. I just don't think so. And that's why this is my take around Zach LaVine. I think it will be organizational malpractice if the Bulls keep LaVine past the NBA trade deadline. If number 8 is still wearing a Bulls uniform on February 9th, I will be absolutely furious, because even if you can just trade him for a second, the most positive move and the most beneficial move that the Bulls can make at the deadline is just getting him off your team. Getting rid of the contract. Honestly, at this point, I don't care about draft capital. I don't care about young players. Just get Zach LaVine off this basketball team, and that'll be the first step in a number of moves in the right direction. That is my take. It will be malpractice if he is on this team. But speaking about LaVine this season, I mean, the dude's averaging under 20 points a game for the first time in a very long time in his NBA career. He's just struggled. I don't know if this is just him overall checked out. He's been in and out of the lineups due to injury. Right now he is out for the next 10 days with that sprained ankle, so he won't be playing. But, I mean, overall, he just hasn't been his same self. He's always been a great three-point shooter, sitting around 38% on his career, but this year down at 35%. And overall, just efficiency's down as a whole. Normally shoots 48, 50% from the field. That's down to 45%. He's still been that liability on defense. He still has been that poor leader in the locker room. Combine that with his contract. Again, I get back to this point, it will be hard for the Bulls to trade Zach LaVine. But if there's one team that I could see him being on February 9th, I still think it's the Miami Heat. I think with the Heat kind of skidding over the past couple games and them just looking at the overall landscape of the Eastern Conference, if you're the Heat, you're not better than the Sixers. You're not better than the Celtics. You're not better than the Bucks. I don't think you're better than the Knicks. I can make an argument when the Cavs are fully healthy, you are not better than them. What have they lacked over the past couple of seasons when Jimmy has carried that team to an NBA championship run? They have lacked that true tertiary scorer on that in that lineup. Well, LaVine is that. And if you say, well, why would we want Zach LaVine? If you're a Heat fan, he's a poor leader, he doesn't play defense, yada, yada, yada. Well, what about Heat culture? If there's any place in the NBA that I actually think LaVine could completely turn around his NBA career and buy into team basketball, defense, and just playing basketball the right way, I think it's Miami Heat, and I think Pat Riley and the rest of that front office knows that. So if I had to predict it right now, February 9th, whether it's a trade for Tyler Hero straight up, or it could be frickin' Kyle Lowry straight up at this point. I think Zach LaVine will be on the Miami Heat when February 9th rolls around. But maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe you have another team. But I want you guys to get active in the comments section. What team will trade for Zach LaVine at the NBA trade deadline? Get your thoughts. Get your voice heard down in the comments section. I'm going Heat. Maybe you disagree with me. Let me know down below. We're going to dive into Malcolm Brogdon here in a second if it makes sense for the Bulls to target him. But first, I want to give a big-time shout-out to PrizePicks. They're sponsoring today's edition of the Bulls Report. And PrizePicks, it is daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do, you're going to choose 2 or more players. You're going to choose more or less on their projected stat types. You guys can start seeing the cash roll in today. This is the lineup I'm rolling with tonight. Victor Wembanyama, every single time I watch him play basketball, it literally looks like an alien on the basketball floor. So I'm going to go more on 21.5 points for him. Rudy Gobert, he's a rebounding machine. I'm going to go more on 13 rebounds for Mr. Gobert tonight. But that's my lineup. If you guys want to fade with my picks, or if you guys want to ride my picks, make sure you guys do it at PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. You're going to get a first deposit match all the way up to $100. Get hooked up today. PrizePicks, it's daily fantasy sports made easy. So, Bleacher Report wrote this up around the Bulls possibly targeting Malcolm Brogdon at the NBA trade deadline, and they said this. They said that Damian Lillard, less rebuilding Portland Trailblazers, should arguably be marketing all of their remaining veterans in search of future-focused assets this trade season. If they aren't that active, though, rival executives think Malcolm Brogdon is more likely to be moved than Jeremy Grant because he's considered less expensive to acquire. And I agree. In terms of fit overall, I think with this Bulls team, Jeremy Grant obviously, fits a more position of need and more kind of overall play style of need. But Malcolm Brogdon, in terms of bringing in a veteran point guard to, kind of run this Bulls offense, I think he's a great option. But again, I don't necessarily think this makes a whole lot of sense for the Bulls, mainly because of 2 guys, and we'll get to that in a second. But overall, Brogdon as a player this year, always incredibly efficient. He can shoot it from downtown, more than 40% over the last 2 seasons. And honestly, playing on a kind of AAU style of basketball team that the Trailblazers are this year, his ability to still put up 15 points, 5 assists on really solid efficiency, I think is a huge credit and shout out to him. But why am I out on trading for Malcolm Brogdon? It's because of these 2 guys, Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White. I don't want the Bulls, and whether it's a LaVine trade to the Lakers where they would go get D'Angelo Russell, do not bring in another point guard or guard that will stunt the growth of these 2. Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, these are the 2 guys I want to see develop for the rest of the year. And plus, even if you don't move off Javon Carter, he's still getting minutes. We know Caruso could still get minutes at that 2 spot, even though he can play freaking 1 through 5. We saw him playing the 5 the other night, which was incredible. But I want to see these 2 cook. Don't bring in a point guard like Brogdon. Don't bring in a point guard like D'Angelo Russell. I would be so out and just so pissed off if the Bulls decide to do that. It kind of gets me to this. Don't be buyers. Don't fool yourself. Please, for the love of God, just please do not be buyers at the NBA trade deadline, because something is telling me that this Bulls team, they're looking at the Eastern Conference standings right now, and they're sitting there looking at it, and they're like, oh, wow, we're in the play-in tournament right now. We should go try to get something to get us over the hump. Please do not. Your max potential with this unit is winning 1 first-round playoff game. That is what I have it as. If everything goes right and the whole Big 3 nucleus really comes together, your best-case scenario is you lose in 5 in the first round of the playoffs. Don't be buyers. I would be so mad. But think about some choices the Bulls have. I think they got 3 of them. I think you either go full rebuild, which is the camp I'm kind of in, where you trade Caruso, DeRozan, LaVine, and Vooch, and you completely reset, even trading a guy like Torrey Craig or Javon Carter, and you just get as much draft capital, as much young assets as you can, and you go full rebuild. What I think the Bulls are going to do is they're going to try to trade LaVine and retool this roster, which I honestly wouldn't be, too upset at. But I would still go full rebuild if I had to choose between those 2. This is the one that I might delete our YouTube channel for if they do it, is that would be fully running it back. If the Bulls go throughout the NBA trade deadline and you guys don't get a video from me breaking down a trade of LaVine, DeRozan, or Vooch, honestly, we might not post again on this channel. I'm just going to be honest if the Bulls do run it back. But those are the 3 choices the Bulls have at the NBA trade deadline. I'm thinking they're going number 2 right here. I want them to go 1, though, if I had to choose. But I want to end the show off with doing something fun here. We do this on our live show a lot when we do go live for for the Bulls games this season, do some live play-by-play. I always ask the question before tip-off. I say name a random Bulls basketball player, and it's so interesting to see all the names that we get in the comments section. So I want you guys, end today's show, name a random Bulls player. I'll give you mine. I'll go Andres Nocioni as my random Bulls player, but let me know yours down below. Guys, NBA trade deadline's here, though. You guys got to make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. It's January 22nd right now. Deadline is on the 8th. I'm excited. I'm assuming, I'm still 99% sure that the Bulls will be making a trade before then. So you guys got to make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. Make sure you guys tune in for our trade deadline coverage. We may be going live here on the channel, so even more incentive to hit that sub button. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.